How would you describe your 2023?
It wasn't an easy year, but the reason why I'm in politics is for economy, protecting French, education, healthcare. I'm happy about what we did and what we are doing now. Again, I'm not in politics to win a popularity contest. I'm in politics for results, for changing things for the good of Quebecers. So that's what makes me getting up in the morning.
Premier Legault at his end of parliamentary session press conference on Friday in Quebec City. Jean-François Lisée, former PQ leader, joins me now. He's brought to you by Guaranteed Industries for high-efficiency Lennox furnaces and heat pumps. Call Guaranteed Industries at 514-342-3400. Guaranteed Industries since 1957. Well, Jean-François, what do you think? Is François Legault running in 2026?
Is he running in 2026? It's a question to which we'll have an answer in maybe late 2025. Now, I'm not saying that he shouldn't have given this answer. I think it was the political answer to give, and I put this in a very narrow margin of acceptable political lies. Acceptable political lies is when you say something that needs to be said for political purposes, and everyone knows that you can change your mind, but if you say otherwise, it will bring chaos. In his case, he had said until now that he would run in 2026 if two conditions were met. One, that he was in good health, and two, if Quebecers wanted him to run. Now, the latest polls show that Quebecers would rather have someone else to run the province, which is Paul Saint-Pierre Plamondon. And so he said that he evolved in his diagnosis and saying that now there are no conditions, meaning that he will run even if he's sick and unwanted. He didn't phrase it that way, but he said that there were no conditions and that he would run, and that simply puts everyone as ambitions to replace him on the back burner. It's never extinct, but it's either on the back burner or in the front burner, and he'd rather have them on the back burner, even though, given the chances for re-election of the CAQ now, I don't think that anyone is organizing very intensely to run a leadership campaign.
Okay, so that was going to be my next question. I mean, we know some persons in the cabinet have ambitions. I mean, we could name people like Bernard Dréville, Geneviève Guilbeault, Sonia Lebel, Simon Jolin Barrette, just to name those few. But I mean, if the low popularity numbers, low satisfaction numbers persist in the new year, do you think we'll start seeing movement on that in 2024, 2025, or is it still François Legault's party and everybody's going to stay in line?
It may be that it's François Legault's party and it will never be anybody else's party, because if the trend holds and the PQ keeps widening just a little bit their advance, my column in Le Devoir Wednesday is going to be the last CAQiste, because they're vying for the same voters, right. And it could very well be that the PQ could wipe out the CAQ with only 35% of the vote, because they're really into Francophone Quebec. And so anyone who's looking at the political future has to ask now the question, will there be a viable CAQ after next election for me to run? So I think nothing much will happen in 2024. They'll all wait and see if there's a rebound, if inflation keeps tipping down, if interest rates go down, if some results are brought about in health and education. There could be an éclaircie for the CAQ later on at the end of the mandate, and then choices can be made by Michel Legault and others. The front runner would still be Geneviève Guilbeault, but the trend shows that she would lose in her riding, Louis Hébert, even before in just the first of the upswing of the PQ in the Quebec region. The CAQ is so far behind that she could be head of the CAQ, but not in the Assembly.
Interesting. Moving on in our our forecasting rather for 2024 is the public sector workers' strike. Do you see it going into 2024?
Well, I would have said that last week, but given the signals we've had from the government, they seem to be so intent in having major gains in work organization and giving their managers that have now more power thanks to both reforms in education and health. They want to give managers much more power on the way that the two organizations work, and that means concessions on management power from the unions in collective agreements. Even though things that they've gained through the decades, clearly the CAQ want to roll back. And it seems that their calculation now is that they're so low in the polls that they might as well go all the way to break the unions back. And if this means going through January, let's go through January until such time as they get the concessions they need. This is very dire as an analysis, but Mr. Legault seems to be so bent on having managerial power on the whole structure, and this looks like a 50s idea of how to manage personnel, but it seems that where it could be that's his strategy now.
What do you think about the idea of back to work legislation before the holidays?
I don't think that it's in the cards because the Supreme Court has curtailed considerably a while back the ability of governments to vote these kinds of laws, and it would be counterproductive on a number of levels. I think they wish that in the end unions will sign against a considerable pay raise because they keep saying that there's more pay coming up, and that in the end they will sign, and they'd rather have something signed than something imposed, and even the imposition power is not what it used to be.
Jean-François, I want to ask you, because you know François Legault. You've known him for many, many years. You knew him way back in the PQ years. You've served with him in the National Assembly. I mean, what do you think from what you know of him personally? I mean, what's going through his mind, in your opinion? I mean, the man himself. I mean, is it all ego? What is it that is driving him right now to be the way he is?
Well, I think he has a set of beliefs. It's not ego. He has a set of beliefs. One of them is a certain way of managing things that should be top down. Okay, he was a manager of Air Transat. That's pretty much all he managed in his whole life.
Correct.
You know, and the departments that he held. And he thinks this is the way to go. And all these unions, this is too complicated. And giving autonomy to nurses and professors, this only breeds chaos. And I think it's very wrong-headed because in this century and in this situation of lack of manpower, I mean the power of the employee now is greater than before. And if you don't give them autonomy, respect, recognition, they will leave, and they'll go elsewhere. And that's what has happened in health and education in the last few years. And I'm not sure his way is the best way, but I don't doubt the strength of his sincerity in believing that.
So it's more like 20th century thinking for a 21st century situation.
That's exactly what I think.
Well, very interesting. Thank you. As always, Jean-François Lisée, appreciate your take today.
Thank you so much.